Remember the old days of the Olympics? Every 4 years, you would just go out in summertime or wintertime, and as an American, or whatever you are in your country, just cheer your country on. And when your country does well, you're excited. And particularly how athletes spend so much of their time and effort and money, long-standing goal to finally make it to the podium, and they're excited, and it's just awesome. And then you get this. Make it stop. Hello, my name is Kyle and welcome to the channel. Please like and subscribe. Now in this video, there's been tons of stories about this particular incident with this person. I'm not even going to mention her name, who basically said, you know what, I'm not going to acknowledge the national anthem at an Olympic qualifying event. So I'm not going to talk about the actual story itself, but I'm going to try and dig into the psychology of Black people who feel this way. Okay, I'm not even going to really talk about the fact that she finished in third and the fact that she hates America. Obviously, she hates America because me, it almost fits because you hate America, you finish third. Okay, to me, that's just its own little separate sermon in and of itself. And so, no, that's not going to be it. But I do want to talk about the situation, what's going on in this country, and in terms of the psychology, Black people, how they're thinking. But before I get to that, let's talk about how the Olympic Committee has said that they are not going to be allowing any kneeling or any other protests at the Tokyo Games. This to me is fantastic. Because to me, I wasn't even going to watch the Olympics. I was going to skip it. And it's sad because I like competition. And I don't care what the event is. It could be, I don't know, it could be cricket herding for all that matters. To that person, those individuals on that team, or like I said, that individual, they have spent most of their lives getting to the point to where they are now. You have to understand, they sacrificed time, effort, money, friends, associations, and then they got a chance to take part in opening ceremony, which is always spectacular, and they're representing their country, no matter how big or how small. And that person is ecstatic. And that particular event, no matter what it is, cricket herding, for lack of a better example, it's their Super Bowl. It's the pinnacle of their careers. Every single medal, that's what it is. And to me, it's the ultimate of competition. And if you're into sports at all, competition at all, you have to appreciate that. And I do. And I don't like seeing stuff like this ruined. And I am glad that Tokyo decided to take a stand. Well, it wasn't just Tokyo, it was the Olympic Committee, and we're getting to why they took that stand. And it goes into the whole 70-30 thing that I've mentioned before about how the left, the wacko left, only occupies about 30% of ideology in this country, and that's that weird leftist, Marxist, socialist mindset. Once people understand what it is, they always gravitate to the moderate, independent, to conservative side. That being said, let's get into this article here. Let's hear, beware. By the way, this is on the conservativetake.com. It's coming to us from Outkick as well. Let's hear, beware the NFL, International Olympic Committee, won't permit kneeling or different types of protests on the Olympic Games starting subsequent month in Tokyo. Athletes won't be allowed to take part in protests or demonstrations on the sector of play. Throughout an official ceremony or on the podium, people who will likely be punished per a TMZ report. And a TMZ report is right here, which is pretty interesting as well. This talks about how they did a study that they interviewed 3,500 elite athletes and Olympians ranging from the age of 16 to 55 plus. It became obvious that the majority were in favor of strict rules against demonstration. For the reasons I just mentioned, from an ideological standpoint, or from the fact that you don't want people stealing your glory, like that other woman did. No one's talking about Deanna Price or Brooke Anderson, who finished first and second respectfully. No one's talking about them at all. And so I don't want to even acknowledge the other person that did this. She's getting enough press as it is. So to me, I think that's a huge disrespect. And I don't think these athletes want that same kind of pressure on themselves as well. Also, I would imagine that Tokyo, Japan for that matter, the country, is pretty sensitive to the fact that China, their arch enemy back in the day, went through the whole Cultural Revolution with Mao. That is pretty much indicative to what we're seeing today. And I think Japan gets it. In fact, I think most of the world gets it, but Americans, for some reason, don't get it because we are trapped in guilt and lies about what this country stands for. Check out the video we did called Why America is Great. Talk about the 3 things that make this country great. It goes into what we see on our money, el pluribus unum, out of one many, liberty, and the other one is in God we trust. Check out that video. That is the foundation of this country. The left is trying to rewrite what's going on in our classrooms to redefine what it is to be American. They want to backtrack over 100 years to a time, 1619, to say that America, in some great conspiracy, was always planned to maintain racism. Nothing could be further from the truth. They don't ever want to talk about the 350,000 plus white men who died in the Union Army in effort to free the slaves. But I am digressing. Christy Coventry of the ILC Athletic Commission said this: a very clear majority of athletes said that they think it's not appropriate to demonstrate or express their views on the field of play, at the official ceremonies, or at the podium. It goes on to say, so our recommendation is to preserve the podium, field of play, and official ceremonies from any kind of protest or demonstrations or acts perceived as such, continued Coventry. See, understand this. They did a study in that TMZ article. They spent time on this, I think 11 months. They know this is not going to be good for ratings. And it's hard enough for the Olympics to make money to begin with. Very difficult for the Olympics to make money anyway. And if they had this kind of controversy, and Japan's been working on this for almost a decade, I'm sure, to prepare for this, no, we're not going to have that for the reasons, again, that I mentioned. America's hottest professional sports activities, primarily the NFL and NBA, have generally looked the other way. Athletes choose to disrespect the flag. Again, it says here, ILC spent 11 months consulting with numerous experts and athletes before drawing up its plan. It says here also that specific punishments for violating the foundations toward protests will be put forth. They're going to actually come out here and they are going to sanction you for kneeling. This is from the TMZ Sports Report here. And so there will be sanctions for doing this kind of foolishness, right? Now, of course, we have Joe Biden's administration here. They're now saying that it's no big deal. The press secretary says Biden has a great respect for the anthem, but as part of that pride in our country means recognizing there are moments where we as a country haven't lived up to our highest ideals. Okay, that's some bogus crap right there. Ms. Price and Ms. Anderson deserve much more respect than that. Look at this here. This is her here. This is Deanna Price, who just celebrated. She finished in first. How cool is that? She is happy. She's celebrating. This is her moment. And you had this knucklehead behind her trying to spoil it, trying to throw shade. It's horrible. So I'm sure you remember this. This is the same thing. You have Serena Williams blowing up at a match with Osaka. I think it was the US Open. This is an event that she would dominate. And Osaka, up-and-coming tennis player, trying her best to, deal with the nerves. And it was her stage. She won the event. And guess what happened? Serena Williams stole the limelight from her. You can't even remember who even won the match anymore. All you know is that Serena Williams blew up and took the entire scene, all the oxygen out of the room, and ruined this young lady's first experience at a major. And it's the same kind of thing. So what is going on? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break down what I think is going on with this young lady and many other Black people in this country. And the problem really is several things. It is an imbalance that's happening between their particular worldview, their perception on reality, and what they've taught, and the peer pressure dealing with their friends and family around them. Because if you come out conservative, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and you're going to lose a lot of friends. And number one, most people don't want to do that. So you can chalk up, and this is my opinion, but you can chalk up Black people in several groups. You have the people, probably the by and large majority of ones, who don't really get into the politics stuff. They just want to play Madden. They just want to live their lives, in terms of a man perspective. Or they just want to watch the Kardashians, but they still understand what they've been taught, and they feel that there is some sort of racism there. They know that they have to vote Democrat for whatever reason, but they're not really actively involved in that whole process. You have these brand Nubian types, these these back to Africa types, Zakatas, these people who want to be self-actualized and all this stuff, all these terms. And they want to say, oh yeah, brother man, and you want to do this and do that. And of course, they're way out in the wacko fringe left. And so you have those people. And they influence the people I just mentioned. And then you have people who are trying to identify with reality, and they're having a hard time dealing with either their Christian values or their moral values, and they see something's not right, but I still can't quite go to the Republican Party or conservatives. And of course, you have just people who are conservatives who already walked away. So you have people on the far left who aren't going to walk away. They're indoctrinated, they're whatever. You have people who aren't really paying attention, but tend to vote or see themselves as liberal because that's what they're expected to do, but they're not really thinking about it. You have the ones who are struggling and moving toward that area. Something happened in their life, something was conflicting in their relationships or whatever, and they see that's different, and they're moving towards that, or they can go either way. And you had the ones like myself who have walked away, and now they're totally, trying to pull people out. That's what this lady is, I believe. She's in one of these categories. She's probably in the further left-leaning side, but I think deep down, these black people have nowhere else to go, ideological standpoint. They like the fact that they are victims because it gives them a power. It gives them something that they can hang on to. It gives them this inner God, this lower G God they can worship and pray to the altar of. I mean, it's just this thing. And giving that up is a big deal because they worship it. They worship their victimhoodness. And they believe in themselves that the stuff they hear is also true. And so what happens is when they act on this stuff that's foolishness like this, and people come down on them, they say, see, racism. No, that's just art imitating life. Okay, that's just your perspective. That's just your perspective looked at from a different lens of a worldview, because your worldview is painted as everyone who's not melanized as racist. That's your lens. Everyone else looking in is looking at the reality. And so when they come at you, you're looking at them, okay, that just shows me that you are a racist. And that's how it perpetuates. And I think the powers that be manipulate that, feelings, emotions, to get us to do whatever they want us to do. And that's a whole nother discussion, but we've talked about that too, where if you can be emotional and someone can tell you how to feel, when to feel on cue, they can make you do whatever they want. And so maybe a little deep here on this discussion, but that's really what it is. And I think that's what she's going through. I think there's a lot of inner struggle going on there. Look at a lot of these walkaway stories. You see it all the time. Look at an interview that I had recently with Miss Keisha King, okay? She was smart enough to actually see this on her own. She saw stats and facts and said, you know what? That doesn't actually fit. So I'm going to change directions. I wasn't that smart. It took 9/11 for me and to see people's reactions to that for me to start walking away. Every person's a little different. Some people never, ever walk away. They're stuck in that rut their entire life. That's the sad tragedy in all of this. So what do you think about this? What do you think about this story, about this person who did this event? What do you think about the IOC saying, you know, we're not having it, not in our backyard. You better go somewhere else with that. And also, what do you think about what I just said about just people in general, particularly Black Americans, and the struggle that they're going through, most of which through bad information, false narratives, inner struggles, insecurities, hanging on to a false God that they don't want to give up because it's beneficial to them. What do you think about that? I'd be curious to know what you think. And also, if you like me doing this channel, we take pop culture and politics and filter to you in a conservative manner. In other words, filter to you right. Then please click the like and subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any future content. Also, there's a join button there. If you want to click that, you can find out how to help us. And also, if you want to do more things on the channel, you can click on some videos that we have for you right here.